Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about a woman named Shelby. She, you know, that type that is rather narcissistic, so sure of themselves, and the know-it-all type. They know everything about, they consider themselves, you know, the person who knows, okay, with really nothing but their own opinion of themselves to back it up. That's Shelby. And she, her age is probably somewhere, it's not certain, but maybe in her 30s, and just by some of the things, but that would point in that direction. Now she sees, one of the things she thinks of herself is a fact checker. Okay, anytime people say something, you know, that she doesn't think is right, she fact checks it and makes videos about it, pointing out all their flaws in their thinking. And she's not the only one to do this. Okay, now maybe many of us have seen this if you watch like videos or even on anything that's written online, that there, you know, quite often in my own experience, is that there is this type, at least one. And they get to the point to where they are, you know, they may start off as just saying, as a matter of fact, that's not true, or, you know, when they fact check. But they also can become quite mean, like adult mean girl or adult mean boy. And what they say, you know, their arrogance, their grandiosity about themselves becomes so out there that they can be considered as abusive. And but they won't see themselves that way. They see themselves as perfect, and anybody who disagrees is just a hater. You know, they use those terms. They're just a hater, and or they just don't know enough to you know, they don't qualify. They don't have the credentials to question them. You know, the know-it-all. They don't. The other people, they don't know. They just don't know. And you know, they can go from, you know, just correcting somebody to just, you know, like when you're growing up, there may have been that one, at least that one kid that always, often, not always, I'm not an always or never type thinker, but one that quite often just picked fun at if anybody mispronounced a word. You know, when you're a kid, you're growing up, and even in throughout adulthood, you know, words, people use different words at different times. You know, words people haven't heard, they looked at a dictionary or something and found a new word, they ran across it and they use it. Other people don't know it, they might mispronounce it. You know, see along this line. And there's going to be that person, even as an adult mean girl or adult mean boy, who's going to jump on it and make fun of it and laugh. Try to make everybody laugh and point a finger at them, ha ha ha. They're not mature, you know. Okay, that road's a little difficult to get across. It's kind of scary too. Real life happens in no video. So anyway, Shelby is this type. Like I said, she's not the only one in the county. Now the county, Victorson County, Texas, they have 2 social media web platforms in the county just for the county. And one of them is big, Virtual County, and the other one is owned by a guy that was basically kicked out, who helped to develop it. He got kicked out because he thought he was the smartest. He was very arrogant. That's Brett. So they just kicked him out of it because he was causing so much trouble and making even threats. And he so he went to this town that's actually called the Outlaws. It's got a history, and he developed his own. And as it grew, you know, he got what he wanted himself, was for everybody to notice that he is top dog. You know, this type. Well, his is small, his social media, you know, platform, and but you know, but he's trying to compete with the big Virtual County, and so he allows people to start, you know, different. You know, they did. Virtual County opened up an adults only section, which It's not, you know, like you when you think of adults only, but everybody had to go in, give their, you know, go into grocery store and show their license, you know, to verify who they are, and they use pseudonyms, and the voices are changed, the view of the person is changed a bit, and you know, they're making it, you know, to where people aren't going to be attacked personally, and only Virtual County knows who it is. Well, Brett tries to mimic it, and but Brett really wants to compete, and when he saw things, you know, different types of, he allows more risque things on his, and people started making various kinds of threads and you know, videos, and they started making communities, you know, like in certain genres, and he liked that. And so Virtual County, they did the same, because they want to monitor what the people are saying, and because there's some threats going on in the county, and they're monitoring this, the law enforcement, and you know, various people in the county, because there's a lot of threats going on, and a lot of problems going on. So anyway, so he allows this, and Shelby is one of those that, oh man, she just jumped on everything. She jumps on anything from any community, any genre, and she throws out there how she's superior, you know, in all of it. And, you know, like I said, nobody knows her name. They don't know her age. Well, they know, you know, enough to, they use a pseudonym, okay? And she uses Shelby, so it's hers. So, okay. Now, I don't know if many of you know about histrionic behavior. Well, Shelby's not, at least so far, she doesn't have that kind of, what I've seen in my life is people with narcissistic and histrionic blends of behaviors. Not any diagnosed, but the blend of the behaviors. And, but Shelby, no, hers seems more just simply narcissistic. Now, Shelby also, you know, she puts out that as though she's female, but she could also be male, because like I said, you know, voices are changed, and they have a choice in how they want to change the voice, and you know, the appearance is basically blurred, and they have a choice of which visual effect they use, you know, so nobody can actually see who the person is. They don't know who the person is. Pseudonyms are required, and you know, unless they're ads, and that's a whole different account and a whole different story. But they're not allowed to disclose who they are, you know, for safety reasons. And they sign a contract and all that says all this stuff. So to be on those sections, they have to sign the contract. Okay. And if they disagree, they don't get in there. It's that simple. You know, for safety reasons, with everything going on in the county. So, okay, I had to make a quick run into Walmart. Is it ever quick in any place when you say, I want to take a quick run in? Maybe if you live in a small town, it would be. Although I can remember going to a pharmacy in a small town that I grew up in, actually. But as an adult, and I didn't live there anymore, but I had to go in there. Man, it was like taking hours. Not hours, but it took a long while. I remember that's unusual. Anyway, real life happens in the middle of a video. Okay, now where was I talking about Shelby? But I think, you know, if you've been on social media, I have been on anything you would consider a social media platform since I was, the first time was back in 1990. So I was one of those that's, you know, startups, basically. Anything you think of that way. Connecting our, you know, telnetting into one another's computers, you know, and stuff like that. But since then, I'm sure I've seen them. You know, the name of them has changed from like trolls or haters or first I think it was bashers that I ever heard called, and they would call some, like, they call them flamers, not to confuse with what some people call flamers these days. But that was, you know, people basically throwing flames at you. You know, everything you said, they light it on fire. You know, and that's what these are. They, you know, these days they say throw darts at you. But everything. I mean, they're just this type. This Shelby and a few others. Like I said, I'll get to those later. But they can't seem to live. One could say, unless online, unless they have something to to bash. Some would say, it's just something to take all their hate out on, somebody, some people, and that they are miserable. Like if somebody talks about that kind, they talk about the know-it-alls, the type that bash and all this stuff, and they'll say, well, that person's just miserable. They'll turn it around. They'll flip it. Okay, to where the person who is complaining about the people who are bashing people, the complainers are the problem. No, it's the bashers, it's the trolls, it's the flamers, it's the, what other names have there been? There's so many different names over 30-something years. And 32, well, I'd say it's because I had a little bit of time before then too, but little bits. But anyway, that's what some of these would do. One size doesn't fit all. Not everybody does the same thing. But to flip it, to blame the victim, to flip it on the other person, quite common in my experience. That what I've seen people do that are like that, they will flip it, and so they take all the negativity off of themselves. Now see, the histrionics, they don't tend to care if it's negative or positive attention. They don't care as long as they're getting attention. But my experience with the narcissistic people, they want all good, positive attention on them. So anyway, but I'm saying this because I'm doing this series. Read the disclaimers in the description box below this video on YouTube. And I put up some videos, but not connected the name to them. I didn't have the name yet. I just made a bunch of videos over, I don't know, a few days, I guess, about this. These are rough draft recordings, and some are really, really rough drafts or highlights, and some of them are the stories, some of them the situations. Things may change without notice if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't work right, and hopefully this person will go, and so I can go. It happens so often that I want to go and turn, and there's one that's going to take their time. There's got to be somebody turning. Like I said, I'm not one that says always, and I still slip. I don't think that way. I don't think in terms of always, none, all or none, black and white. That polarized kind of thinking, dichotomous thinking. No. But anyway, like I said, I have videos I've made, but I didn't have the name, and I just say it as though I do have a character named Grace. My name is Grace. I have a character named Grace, and I know it gets confusing. And she runs a group that she does these recordings for, a team, so they can monitor this kind of thing. So anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about in the videos. But anyway, how many of us know this type? I think I grew up with this type that, it was in everything. I grew up in it was in a whole environment that, like the school system, back then, I don't know if it was just there or anywhere. They didn't have back then the no tolerance for bullying in any school. Yeah, I mean, and I don't even recall hearing the word bully. I think I did on one of those some kind of kids show, maybe. I don't even remember. I don't think I did. I think it was more of as an adult. I saw it on something about bullies. It was just so common. It was so common that, like I said, like when you're reading something and you're young, you're a kid in school and you're reading something, and some of the bullies, like if you mispronounce a word while you're learning how to read, really, and it's a new word to you or whatever, and they jump on it, ha ha ha, make fun of it, try to get everybody else to laugh, and that type. This is this type like Shelby is. Shelby's this type, and a few, like I said, a few others, and just they don't seem to have grown up since they were that young, and or maybe even older. Because I remember people doing stuff like that in high school, even, you know, and that can really do some damage to someone. Really seriously do some damage to someone. You know, they're constantly knowing that somebody's watching them and waiting for, not watching them, but waiting for that moment for them to screw up, to jump on. You know, they're just going to jump on them. And yeah, there was that road right there is 30 miles per hour, and there was this big truck behind me trying to push me down the road. Well, I just slowed down. Oops, I gotta speed up a little bit here. But right there was, right when he did that, he got real close to my bumper. There was a police officer coming down. When I slowed down, he got real close to my bumper. There was a police officer coming the other direction. So he backed off real far. You know, practically put his brakes on. Yeah. What kind is that? What kind of person is that? The kind I'm talking about, maybe? Just not doing that kind of thing, but something else. You know, they on the road, and you're on my road, you better move off, and you better go at least 10, 15 miles per hour more than the speed limit, or you're in trouble. I'm gonna ride your bumper. And then there's a police officer. Anyway, I think I'll wrap it up. I'll talk to you on another video.